A lot of people think there are only two ways to make money from having an audience online. And those two ways are: one, getting the platform that you're posting on to be monetized. That means that you have to be big enough on the platform to be bringing in money. Or two, you create a product or a service and sell to your already existing audience. Now, both of them are good, but neither of them is actually the first way money shows up, especially if you've built authority in a space. In this video, I will be talking to you directly about the kind of opportunities and money you can make from just simply building authority in your space without having to sell any product or service, or even getting the platform you're posting on monetize. Now, if you ask people how content is supposed to turn to money online, you will get mostly one of two answers. Either the platform starts paying you when you meet the necessary requirements, or you build a product or a service and sell to your existing audience. And both of them are actually genuine real ways of making money, but there's one version that shows up before this other two even shows up, and it only shows up when you've actually taken the time to build authority in your space. I have a client who built his entire presence around just showing up on YouTube. He was honestly not chasing the YouTube ad revenue, and he was also not selling anything in his videos. He was just showing up consistently on the platform, talking about one idea and being known for one thing. And with time, when he became known for that particular thing, YouTube ad revenue wasn't the first type of money he made. The first type of money he made actually came from speaking engagements, and the other one came from a consultancy gig that landed in his mail. And the people who sent this thing to him were people who were already watching him for a long time without saying anything. There was no sales funnel running at the background. People already knew him for one central idea, and so when they had problems, it was easy for them to just by reflex go to him for solution. And that is actually what authority does for you, making money for you from different sources outside how you thought you would make money. So the question is, why did that happen to him? Well, there's a real mechanism behind it, and I'm going to explain. Nobody actually trusts a brand the first time they hear about it, but it comes to their remembrance the day a problem comes up. And if a customer eventually purchases from that brand, the trust from that customer that shows up on that day was already built a long time before then. In simple terms, think about it like this. Your neighbor mentions an electrician once in passing. You weren't looking for one, so you barely register it in your mind. It just sort of flies itself away back somewhere in your head because it's not something you actively need right now. And months over, something actually goes wrong, and out of all the options you could technically search for, that one electrician that your neighbor mentioned or gave a good review about is the one that comes to your mind without you having to make too much effort. And you don't call them because you've called 5 other electricians and you've gotten their price to know which is cheaper. You call that particular electrician because he's the one in your head that's already been vouched for. He's the one in your head that you don't have to do so much thinking before you get the solution to your problem. Now, that's not luck, and it has nothing to do with the electrician being the best electrician in the world. It's just that the name of that electrician was already stored in the customer's head before the problem arises. And that's the same mechanism authority works with. It amplifies you without you having to pitch to anybody. It's not about the application they first saw you on. It's about how well your name can sit in people's head the first time they think about a problem. And that's actually what separates you from the other 10 people in your niche that are just as skilled as you. And the truth is, skill is very forgettable, but a compelling story or a good review given by someone you trust already is harder to forget. So next question is, how do you actually build that kind of memory into people's minds on purpose? Getting remembered is actually a formula. An actual mathematical equation. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the formula is authority equals category times proof times repetition. These 3 things have to be multiplied and not added. That's intentional because if one is missing, all of them ends up in 0. By that, I mean anything multiplied by 0 is 0. Now let's take each of them one by one. Category means being known for one specific thing and not five things. For example, being the person that fixes broken sales funnel, not a marketing person that does a little bit of everything. The truth is that your audience can only file you in one compartment in their mind. And the moment they can't file you anywhere in their mind, they throw you out. And so you want to use that to your advantage by being known for one thing. The second one on the equation is proof. Proof simply means that your name is actually attached to good results that people can measure. And one big mistake people make with proof is that they want to jam pack every of their proof into one sitting. No, your proof just has to be something that people can say in almost one line. This helps you to be everywhere without being everywhere. For example, she took a brand from 5,000 followers to 50,000 followers in 5 months. That is proof. But if you say she's good at marketing or I'm good at marketing, that's a very, very weak proof. The specificity of your proof is what singles you out from every other person in your niche that has the same skill you do. And the last one is repetition, which simply means just being out there enough that your name actually sinks in people's mind before they even need the solution you're providing to a problem. For example, seeing your content once isn't enough, but if it goes on to maybe a friend's page, an event, and then goes on to maybe an actual explore, then people can have you at the back of their mind. And this means that the day they encounter the problem your brand provides solution to, you'll be top of mind for the consumer. And there's a saying in marketing that the first time you put out something doesn't stick. It has to take at least 6 times before that thing sticks. So now you know how much content volume you need to be putting out. So category without proof is forgettable. Proof without repetition over time will fade away. And repetition with no clear category actually just makes you a noisemaker. You need all 3 of these things working together or the equation wouldn't run. So once you understand that formula and you've used it to build authority in a particular space, here's how it's actually going to print cash for you. There are several ways you can actually make money online without having to sell a product or a service or having to monetize a particular channel that you're posting on. Number one is usually speaking engagement. So somebody puts you on a podcast, on a panel, or invites you as a keynote speaker. This is simply because your name is sitting in their head, and whenever they think about that particular topic, you come up. There's usually a fee for showing up for these, but the actual takeaway from this is that you are now in a large room of people who also would now have your name sitting in their own head. So it just feels like it's compounding. Number 2 is consultancy or advisory work. Once you already have authority in a space or people feel like they can listen to you to solve their problems, then you can actually get paid. And this one actually pays more than any content or service work. Because at this point, you've now graduated to people paying you for your judgment and not just your time alone. And when you gain success from consultancy jobs, this actually adds to your portfolio later on. So it's a good way to really scale your portfolio fast. Number 3 is partnerships. And I want to be really careful with this one. This isn't the same thing as being an influencer. An influencer gets paid to market a product or a service. Authority, on the other hand, works differently. Experts and businesses pull you into their own project, asking you to co-build or stand by their work in rooms where credibility matters. And this is because you built your authority in that space such that your name being attached to anything makes it credible. That's a completely different transaction from getting paid to post a product or a service. Number 4 is pricing power. And pricing power just simply means that you have more leverage when it comes to giving your price. Because when you build authority in your space, you have the ability to price even higher for the same service every other person will offer, because you have now shown that you are an expert in that field. You stop being the vendor that people are pricing, and before people even come up to you, they already have a notion of how much you're worth in their head. Now, before you assume that what I'm saying saying is that numbers don't matter, let me clear this up. I'm not telling you to throw away everything that has to do with selling a product or service and not get any money from that means at all. But what I'm saying is that having the numbers is not the same thing as being remembered. And it's being remembered that actually open up the kind of opportunities that people don't think would count. Picture a bride who just got engaged and needs a photographer for her wedding. Now she has two profiles open. One of the photographers' name is Grace and the other photographer's name is Elma. Now, she hasn't worked with any of them before and nobody actually experiences a wedding photographer's work until they've been booked. So for the bride, this is a one-shot purchase. This means that as she's about to make a decision, the only information she has is what she has seen and heard about both photographers. Now, this is where authority comes to play. Now, Emma's page is very beautiful and she has the technicality of everything locked in. This means that Emma has proof and she has category, but right now she's lacking repetition. The other photographer, Grace, on the other hand, is not new to the bride. She's seen Grace's work being tagged in a friend's wedding album. Grace has been recommended on a wedding planning group that the bride was on at random. And when the bride eventually asks her wedding planner for recommendation, her wedding planner eventually recommends Grace. Grace has all three factors in the authority equation playing for her. She has category, she has proof, and she has repetition. Now, this goes without saying, by the time the bride is comparing both photographers, one of them already holds weight in her mind. That weight in the bride's mind is what is called authority. Now, this doesn't mean that Elma can't still actually get the gig, but she's going to have to do extra convincing to the bride to show that she stands out. If you found yourself as a business owner or a professional and you've got solid numbers online, but people don't think of you first in your industry, book a free call. Let's fix that for you.